Welcome to A&B Horror Movies. I'm Aaron, and I'm joined today by Eric, the lo-fi horror guy, and we are absolutely thrilled to talk with David Weiner. David, welcome.
Hey guys, nice to see you guys, and thanks for having me on.
Yes, absolutely. So we can't wait to talk with you about your In Search of Darkness documentary series, starting with the 80s, the trilogy of the 80s movies, a dream come true for many horror fans. And then you did the 90s. You did 90 to 94, and upcoming is 95 to 99, which we will talk about in a moment. So
Yeah.
let's jump right into it. My first question for you is with In Search of Darkness, what was the inspiration and how did you get involved with this project?
Yeah, well, it actually the idea, the brainchild, so to speak, comes from Robin Block, who's the executive producer, the CEO at Creator VC, who makes these
Mhm.
documentaries, produces these documentaries, and allows me to kind of do what I want, which is really like the most awesome job in the world, really. I mean, we always set the ground rules, we always establish what we're going to be doing, we always now connect with the audience in terms of what would you guys like to see. But fundamentally, after that, I get kind of free reign to make the movie that I feel would be best and that would appeal to me most as a horror fan myself. But the brainchild came from
Yes.
Robin Block, who basically said, how cool when he was doing In Search of the Last Action Heroes,
Mhm.
which was about, action movies of the 80s, a little 90s as well. How cool would it be if we just went through the entire 80s and just did all the horror movies, quote unquote? And
Yeah.
when I came on board, my background is everything from, entertainment journalist, senior editor at Entertainment Tonight online,
Mhm.
editor in chief of Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine, writing for the Hollywood Reporter's Heat Vision and LA Weekly, doing celebrity interviews and stuff like that. So this aligned perfectly with the fact that I'm also just a genre film nut. You know, I love horror films. I love sci-fi. I love action. I love movies. But
Everything. Yeah.
like you guys, like it's not like listen. We can call ourselves horror fans, and we are horror fans. But fundamentally, we love movies. We love storytelling. We love cult and genre
Yes.
even more than the average bear, right? So
Mhm.
fundamentally, this is obviously becoming a very long answer because that's how I roll here. But
I love it. It's a perfect introduction. Keep going.
but yeah, so Robin was just like, let's just go and do every single movie. And when I came on board, and I essentially he saw my bona fides, but then I never expected to be writing and directing these things, and he kind of handed me this on a silver platter, and I'm like, that's always what I dreamed of, but I didn't think I'd actually get someone saying, yeah, here's your
Yeah.
movie.
Yes.
Um,
That's
and
fantastic.
so I took it and I ran with it, and I'm still running with it. But
Mhm.
I helped shape it in a different way because I'm just like, well, we can't do all the movies, so how can we get as many movies as possible? We'll go year by year, so 80 to 89, with a bunch of movies that
Mhm.
we curate and talk about and get the people who either worked on them in front of the camera, behind the camera, or experts who are enthusiastic about it, or celebrity
Yeah.
viewpoints who are just fans, but we respect their opinion. Fundamentally, it all came together where we curate all these movies, talk about maybe 10, 12, 15 movies, as many as we could fit in, have a larger context chapter in between each year so we could tell a better story about how the decade comes together in terms of the socio-political
Mhm.
climate and how that affects horror movies and how horror movies affects the zeitgeist, and it's all kind of this back and forth conversation. It becomes a big jigsaw puzzle. You put it all together, and by nature of the beast,
Yeah.
what was started out as like, well, let's do a 2 hour documentary about 80s horror with all the movies. And then if we hit our stretch goal, we'll do 3 hours. And I just said, mathematically, before I do a thing, we're going to sail way past 4 hours. And I really got
Oh
to,
yeah, for sure.
and so if anything, listen, if I could, and I'll shut up after this, is that if I could claim anything that I'm personally satisfied with, is that I keep on forcing Robin Block to allow me to make a longer movie, because I look at Letterboxd, I look at everyone who responds in the community who said these are great, great, great documentaries, which is so wonderful to hear. They'll say longer, longer, longer. I could go
Uh-huh. Yeah, for
24/7, like
sure.
this, just keep this going on a loop. And that's my short of the technology where we can only fit so much on a dual layer Blu-ray disc, you
Mhm.
Mhm.
know, kind of all bets are off. And I went from 4 hours and 15 minutes to like 4 hours and a half to 5 hours, and to now we're in the 90s. I've been doing 6 hours with
Yeah.
credits, and now I'm kind of 6 hours without the credits. And so I'm
Oh,
almost
it's
six
getting
hours.
longer and
So I'm
longer.
now 6 hours, and now the credits on top of that. We'll call it a 6 hour film, but you and I know that it's longer, right?
Yes, yes. So, Eric, before you jump in, you mentioned the puzzle piece. I have to ask, how did you pick the films? Like the 80s, there's so many horror films. I imagine you probably had like a giant whiteboard with post-its, must have, should have, could have, and then just narrowing it down. But what was the process like to narrow it down to the films that you did cover?
Well, the first one was very, very difficult because there are thousands,
Mhm.
there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of movies. It gets into the low thousands if just in the 80s
Yeah,
alone,
absolutely. Yeah.
depending on how you categorize things at a certain point. But fundamentally, it's just like there's no way you could do it. That's thus the poster wall was born, where we're like, we're gonna
Mhm.
pick a movie at the poster wall, and you're gonna see the one you want us to pick, and we might go to it, and then we might pivot
I
and pick
know. I
something
love
else.
that. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
So
I love it.
sometimes, listen,
Mhm.
if it's not yours, it's somebody's. And if it's not somebody's, it's yours, but
Mhm.
fundamentally, that kind of tells people that there's more. We are aware that we can't do it all. So other than the film that we're very specifically focusing on, people can make a reference to another film, and we'll show a clip, or we'll show a poster, or we'll have the poster
Hmm.
wall that has all these other
Mhm.
things that came out that year. So you as a fan can hit pause, look at that poster, and want to find out more, or look at the end credits where everything's listed and say, oh, that's a hack. I'm just going to copy and
Yes.
paste it eventually. But
Mhm.
fundamentally, for me, the first one was the hardest because we never knew we were going to get to make more. We never knew
Hmm.
that.
Sure.
You hope for, as I was making it, I'm like, oh gosh, there's so much more that, and me as a completist, I wish I could do more. But I decided, and it was an arguably controversial decision, but just for me to be
Mhm.
able to manage so many titles, I just said North America. I'm going to just do North American films. You know, yeah, I can make a Fulci reference, or Argento or something like that, or I can name some other international filmmakers. North
Mhm.
American, I get to do Cronenberg, arguably, right? Canadian as well,
I think
but
so. Yes.
Hmm.
right, which we take for
That
granted.
counts. Yeah. Mhm.
But because I got to do more, I got to do part two, so I got to go international. Did a whole like thing on
Mhm.
Italian horror and Mexican horror and Asian horror. Just kept on going as I progressed. To answer your question about picking, how do I pick these things?
Yes.
Fundamentally, it's a combination of what I would say by the third In Search of Darkness, I felt I hit a good balance
Mhm.
of very well known mid-range stuff and eclectic that the true horror fan, there's always ones who say, yeah, I've seen them all, but there are plenty of people who are by the third one like, I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Yes.
you start getting the, wow, they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel, and one person puts their nose up, the other it's like, yes, finally, I've been waiting for this you know
Yes, yes, yes. Go to
and so
Amazon and see if or go look on the shelves if I own it, or go to Amazon
exactly,
and order a copy. And yeah,
I
go ahead.
put all this stuff on an even playing field. So
Mhm.
I mean, we can kind of allude to this is good or bad or not, but fundamentally, it's your choice, and we all love these for different reasons. So, listen, Things
Yeah.
and The Shining are going to lay on the same playing field, and you could just look at it, recap it, see the triumphs and the tragedies, and the
Mhm.
struggles of getting the film across the line to get it distributed either in theaters or on video, at your mom and pop shelves.
Mm.
But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you decide whether or not this is the film for you. A lot of the alchemy is, who can I get to talk about this, you know? And if I'm doing one particular film, sorry, well, one film, I'll get one particular actor or director, but they have a body of work. And so if
Mhm.
they're like, if Andrew Divoff, or and name it, Andrew Divoff, I worked
Sure.
on Extra 3,
Yeah.
you're just like, oh gosh, do I have room to put Extra 3 in there? That kind of stuff like that. You know?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I remember Caroline Williams was talking about like her death in Stepfather 2. And I'm like, well, how can I not put of
Oh,
course
of
we're going to do
course.
Totally.
stretch
Yeah.
from Texas Chainsaw 2. But it's just
Mhm.
like, so people are like, well, of course we know why he put that in there because she was there and she talked about it. And I'm like, yes, and like, why
Hmm.
wouldn't,
Of
who
course.
wouldn't?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? I love
Hmm.
Stepfather too. Eric, I'll let you jump. I'll let you jump in.
Well, I mean, the thing that I've always loved, and David and I, connected, I think when we were, first talking about the first In Search of Darkness,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and this series, it, is a true to life moving coffee table book.
Mm.
It's a true to life Fangoria magazine, where we have gone and flipped through the pages and got to see, these little bits and pieces and these anecdotes of things that, that we loved. But, as we've gotten through 3, 4, 5 hour, 6 hour movies about the 80s and then now into the 90s,
Mhm.
has it become a thing where you've kind of talked and gone back and forth where you're like, man, do I at some point do I need to ask somebody else to help as far as directing, or is this specifically your baby and you're like, this is my thing, I'm going to keep on going if I can?
That's a really good, excuse me. That's a really good question. Um, I really, behind the scenes, we like to diversify. We want to, at Creator PC, we like to do a variety of projects. We've been doing Aliens, poster behind my wall, Aliens Expanded.
Action.
We're
Yep.
currently doing Thing Expanded.
Yeah.
I would have loved to do those, but when we have this In Search of Darkness thing that people really, really want and demand and ask for, you kind of have to keep that fresh and continuous. So I'm very fortunate that I get to executive produce on those other projects and have a creative say in it. I really listen, those are Ian Nathan's films and he does great. And arguably he doesn't really need me. But I
Mm-hmm.
was happy to be there to like help him get the ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Samuel Way, who did the first 3 In Search of Darknesses, he's the editor.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal, make those things fly.
Crazy.
He jumped on
Yeah.
to those 2 projects. So now I work with a new guy, Alex Townley, who's been doing the 90s stuff, and he's phenomenal as well. So there's a little diversification there going on. For
Mm-hmm.
me, I also did In Search of Tomorrow, the sci-fi, 80s
Mm-hmm.
sci-fi. We have a bunch of projects that we have on the docket, and I have worked really hard to clone myself, and I have failed. I have a whole room in the warehouse where you have weird sort of bodies, but they're all me, and none of them worked out. It's kind of like the
Oh,
Prestige, or
that's so
Ripley,
tragic.
Ripley clone in Alien Resurrection. It's just like,
Yeah.
listen, we have our own horror movie behind the scenes, and the cloning is still not working out. So
But don't
fundamentally,
don't give up. Don't, persevere. You might work out.
yeah. Oh, there's my third arm. It's coming out again.
Yes, nothing to see here.
But so at a certain point, I think I will have to hand off the reins and executive produce if I want to evolve to other things like, say, In Search of Legends, which is all about,
Mm.
80s fantasy movies, that would
Oh
be super
God.
cool. That would be super cool. That's something we're talking about. But guess what? After this, it looks like we're doing In Search of Darkness 70s. And who am I to say no to something
Oh
like that
man.
when that's really my jam? Because I was a kid in the 70s. I grew up
Mhm.
I was born in 68. So it's
Wow.
hard. It's hard, but we're gonna keep on diversifying and having it go. And I hold these things very, 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 very dear. At one point we were talking about having me hand off the reins for In Search of Darkness 3 while I did some of the other projects. And at the end of the day, I just said, you know what? I'm just going to balance 3 and In Search of Tomorrow with some help behind the scenes, with interviews and things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
fundamentally, I still want to make this movie. I still want to direct this movie. I still want to guide this movie. And I put that together very proudly, but with help from folks at Creator VC. So that's kind of a long answer. So it's like cloning's not working yet. If you guys have any suggestions,
I think it's just the most impressive part, though, is the fact of
Yeah.
not delegating even one of these movies. Even seeing In Search of Darkness 3 and it not being co-directed by, we're not getting 2 hour features. We're not getting, even a movie that's an hour and a half. And as a movie, as a script that was developed into scenes, you have multiple interviews, you have multiple people that are coming in. It is a task on taking on any of these, let alone
Mhm.
now having 5, 6 of these damn things. So I mean, it's an applause, year after year to be able to see what's coming next. I've gotten to talk to Robin as well, and you guys are absolutely insane. I
Yes.
think there's a level of insanity that comes into this.
There's a certain I concur. There's a certain amount of, because we've been doing this since 2018 now. And we get to get to home base and go, get up to bat, whatever analogy you want to use, again and again, because of the generosity and the enthusiasm of the fans. You guys ultimately, and this is a true statement, we're not going to do something because we want to do it alone. We need to validate it. We need to verify that you guys want it. And that's a sort of part of our process now. That's why we didn't realize people wanted In Search of Legends that badly, but they do, and so,
yeah.
But the thing is, we at this point, with so many of these that we've done and that we continue to do, I wouldn't say it's easier, but I got to tell you, we know the process through and through. And it's kind of like, when I was saying earlier that I kind of get to do what I want. I have my structure in place. I have my team in place. I can just get rolling and just do it. The pre-production is much simpler because we have our template, and if it's not broke, don't fix it. We're just now in a decade. Of course, I want to evolve things a little bit, but I also don't want to change it that much because people respond to this that we're doing so much. I like, as a filmmaker, like I said also earlier, I like other genres. I like other things. I also like other formats for documentaries as well. That might come at a certain time as well. It's like, but I don't feel like I'm a one-trick pony. I just feel like that I get the invitation to come back and keep on doing something where, if you think about it, for me personally, as the guy who gets to make these movies, I get to sit down with so many different horror heroes and legends.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And tell their stories and bring it to a format where I get to curate titles, introduce people, a whole, fans who love it, and a whole new generation who want to discover more, and find these stories where everyone sits down exclusively for us, for me, and I get to sit with them for an hour, sometimes 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. I mean, I have long ass interviews, and there's so much more material that can't make it into.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Yeah. So, but what I get out of what I get out of it ultimately is I get really honest, candid, fun, enthusiastic, sometimes painful, but not in a emotionally painful way, interviews from people where they say, gosh, that one day that killed it for me, that I decided that was it, or they'll say, it was that day that I realized where I stood in the pecking order. It was that day when I realized that if I don't do my own thing, I will stagnate. You get really interesting emotional tales, and the trick is finding a way to integrate these and keep everything a bit of a celebration.
Yeah, and sort of tell a story and piece it all together in a way that is consumable. I think Eric made a really nice point when he said your films are like the coffee book books. My question for you is, if you have an answer here, but how do you recommend that horror fans consume your documentaries? Piecemeal, all at once? I mean, it's perfect for the gym, if you ask me. Is there a right way or wrong way to consume
There's
In Search
the
of Darkness?
spooky season order, and then there's the other year order all year round. No, I'm kidding. There's no order.
No order, yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, when you get a franchise, people like come up with, well, this is the order to see it. You go, it's like with the Star Wars prequels and the sequels and everything like that. At a certain point, it just becomes too much. So what do you connect with, right? But everybody's different, It's just like, listen, I myself would be intimidated by a 5 or a 6 hour running long documentary, but I've found the most consistent way that people watch it is they like to digest maybe a year a night, everyone's got a different schedule, I mean, some people they want it as they're like, well, why isn't this a TV series with episodes? It's like, well, you can press pause anytime and
Yeah.
consume it
And come
exactly
back.
like you would.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of people who, this is the thing, and this is why it's really fun for me as the guy who makes these things, is people say, well, gosh, it was really long. Oh my God, I popped it in thinking I'd watch about a half an hour. Next thing I know, the movie was done. I watched all 5 hours, credits and numbers,
It
you
just
know.
flies by. I could
All I
totally
recommend is
relate.
that you wear an adult diaper in case your pants.
Yes, yes, like that astronaut who drove across country.
Exactly.
We
Yes.
won't
Right. You got
mention
that
her
reference.
name.
Like that's now an obscure reference, but it's funny to me, at least.
There you go.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
coffee to me. Um, one last question
Excuse me.
before Eric let you jump in again. Did you ever imagine that your films would be as popular as they are? It's sort of become like a phenomenon. Any horror fan I talk to, if they haven't seen them, they know of your films, and I think they're excited about more to come.
There's always an audience out there. There's always fans who love horror who haven't heard of it. And so word of mouth is very, very important to us because we're an indie
Yeah.
company making these things. I mean, just the fact that we're on like the fifth or delivering the fifth In Search of Darkness, this fall. There are still plenty of people who just don't know about it, who probably would enjoy it. Or there are people who are like, well, why would I ever watch a 6-hour documentary? And you got to explain to them, well, you can do it the way you want to do it fundamentally.
Right.
Going back to your previous question also is like, there is no right way. And I would never recommend a right way, but I found
Mhm.
surprisingly that there is a repeat viewing that I never expected as the guy who made these in the first place. I cannot believe that anyone, because I'm not sure I would, go back and watch things over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. But they put it on in the background while they're painting, while they're working around the house. It's their comfort blanket when they're like, I'm ready to go to bed, and I just pop it on and I just like hearing it in the background. Everyone talking about my favorite genre and really happy about it and talking enthusiastically about it. Or spooky season does come around and they're like, gosh, I need
Mhm.
some ideas. All right. This is a perfect buffet where I could pick what I want from the buffet and load up my plate for the season.
Yeah.
And have it all curated by people who just talk about how fun and you get to see all the clips. So
Mhm.
in answering your previous question, I've kind of forgotten your present question. What was the present question?
Oh, I was so lost in your answer too. Did you ever imagine it would be so
Oh, did
popular?
I
I
ever
guess is
imagine?
what.
Yeah. Listen, you always hope, but when you're
Of
making,
course,
listen,
yeah.
I'd always wanted to make movies. I went to
Mhm.
film school in Ithaca College in upstate New York,
Oh
studied
yeah.
theory and production, minored in sociology and art history as well. See, not only one, genre.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I headed my car west and I went straight to Los Angeles and started working on movie sets. Then I worked in development. Then I got whole sidetracked in the dot-com boom and bust. And my dream of being a director and making my own movies, the reality of life, gets a little farther and farther away when you want to make a
Mhm.
living and just keep on working in an industry that you chose to be in. I always thought to myself, plan A is being the famous director and writer. Plan B is working in entertainment in some way, shape, or form that I'm a happy camper. And that
Yeah.
kind of ended up being Entertainment Tonight for me, which I
Mhm.
never expected to work there after being a dot-com poster boy for getting an amazing job. And then 6 months later, they're like, thanks, we don't know how to pay for this. Bye to the entire staff.
Oh my
And
gosh. Wow.
that happened multiple times to the point when I remember I was at Hollywood.com. I was there for 6 months, and then the big meeting, the Black Tuesday, and they
Mhm.
got rid of 80 staff and kept 15. Um,
Mhm.
and all my friends were really upset, and I was just like, yeah, we're all going to get drunk at Chipotle or yeah, at the
We'll
not
get
Chipotle.
kicked
They don't
out of
have alcohol.
Chili's.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, you're right.
yeah, at
We'll go
like
to Taco Bell.
I was like,
yeah, well,
Chipotle doesn't sell alcohol. This is
no,
amazing.
it's not Chipotle. I'm forgetting what it was. It was like there's some Mexican restaurant that we used to go
That's
to
even
down the
better.
street. But
Yeah,
we're all gonna
we're
have
bringing it.
margaritas. We're all gonna just like,
Yes, bring
bitch
your
about it.
own.
You get to
Yeah.
sleep late tomorrow. redo
Yeah.
your resume, you start up again. And they're like,
Mhm.
what? Why are you taking this so calmly? I'm like, it's not my first barbecue. This is how
Mhm.
things are these
It's,
days.
yeah.
What do you? Yeah. What do you do?
But where am I? I'm getting tangential as I often do. And the point was, is I ultimately always wanted to direct movies, but I got caught up in this sidetrack of Entertainment Tonight came along. And
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, I'll probably be, let go in about 3 months. And I ended up being there 13 years.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and I
Congratulations.
thank you. Well,
Mm.
I had to balance with really, really, really cool stuff. I got to do set visits and interviews and junkets and red carpets, and I got to the point
Oh
as
my
a senior
gosh.
editor where I could just, if the show didn't want it, I wanted them. Like, so I'm like, oh, Susanna Hoffs has a new album and the show doesn't care. I'm still have a crush on Susanna Hoffs. I invite Susanna Hoff
Set
over,
it up. Set it up.
and her person's like, oh, can Susanna also play some music? And I'm like, yeah, pitch,
Oh wow.
twist
I
my
sup I
arm. The next
suppose we
thing I
have
know,
time.
I'm being serenaded by Susanna Hoffs, and then I get
Oh
to
my
interview
gosh.
her, and I'm
Dang.
like, yeah, this is just like a dream gig, and it balances out with all the Kardashian and Hilton and Michael Jackson and Anna Nicole Smith
Yeah.
stuff that I had to deal with back in the day, all that stuff like that, which I really didn't enjoy. Charlie Sheen ruining my Christmas, all these things like that. But
Oh
What?
my gosh.
look at your faces. Like I was so steeped in this world, I expect you to know what I'm talking about. But a celebrity dies and I'm on like call like a doctor and I have to just like
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
report this stuff, and it's not just like one story. It's just like, and then the reactions and all it's
Yes.
just it's endless, and it was a world that I got lost in. And so when I got to, this is becoming
Mhm.
such a long answer, but I got into I got into Famous Monsters.
Hmm.
And I finally
Yes.
was able to get back into on track and I started writing for them. But then
Mm.
their editor who brought me on when Entertainment Tonight said, see ya, along with a couple other people again, but I got 13 years
Mm.
out of it. Um, they, I was invited to be the managing editor of the magazine. And then one issue, the editor in chief, Ed Blair, who was a great guy, he's just like, you know what, I'm moving on. You're the new
Mm.
editor in chief. And next thing I know, I'm running the magazine that I loved as a kid. You can't see it in
God,
the
it's
reflection, but there's
awesome.
one. But
Yeah. Agreed.
so I got to do that. And so, but I never thought I'd be making movies. And then this comes along. I get the opportunity to do In Search of Darkness. See, I am coming
Mm.
to the answer to your question.
Yeah, I know. I
I
know.
get to do In Search of Darkness, and what did I ever expect it to blow up and be, finishing my sixth movie for long form documentary as a
Mm.
director and going on, you know, Robin Block just lining me up, for the next ones. I'm just so fortunate for that. And so the first one, you just hope you finish it. You hope it's good. You hope someone likes it. You don't hope people collectively say this sucks and I hope this person never works again. People do that with directors. Like, hang this person. They're so terrible. People are really ruthless and relentless and
Yeah.
no filter. So the
Mm.
fact that, listen, there are plenty of people who just are not fans of In Search of Darkness. They're like, oh, it's real, it's fluff, there's no depth to it, and if that's not what
Mm.
they expected or wanted, that's cool. But there have been plenty of people who've said this is exactly what I love,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
please make more. Then that's the ultimate, listen, I here's the final answer condensed. I am not afraid to go to Letterboxd. In fact, I check Letterboxd like every couple days. I jump on Letterboxd and I look at the reviews for all my movies because for the most part, people say this is awesome. And they rate it really highly and they recommend it.
Mm.
And that to me is like no one's telling that to me. They're saying it to the world. And that to me is really, really rewarding.
Well, I
As
must
you can
say,
tell, the caffeine kicked in, so that was like my 25-minute answer.
yeah, and to think it was a yes or no answer too. Um,
Right. And you asked me
I'm
what my favorite color was, and I totally got off track.
what day is it? I didn't know you when you worked at Entertainment Weekly, but I must say that you seem very calm now. So it sounds like you everything
Yeah.
happens for a reason, and you're in a
Yeah.
much
Also,
better
when I worked at
place, much
Entertainment
better
Tonight,
place.
everyone said, "I'm so happy
Entertainment
that you
Tonight.
worked at Entertainment Weekly," and I said, "Well, maybe there one day too."
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
only
Oh,
poking
okay,
fun at you
okay.
because
I know
my
I said the wrong one.
no,
Go
well, I'm
ahead.
poking fun at you because my best friends, we'd catch up and they're like, "How's work at Entertainment Weekly?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's good."
Oh my gosh. My bad. All right. Well, we
Oh
do have
God.
some viewer questions. And I have one last question, but Eric, do you want to jump in and ask David something before we get into the viewer questions?
Really quickly, something since our last conversation that I've wondered with these movies individually every time, and something that even past, conversations and listening to interviews with David, hearing, you talk about some of these interviews with these guests and being 2, 3 hours long. What happens with these full interviews? I think it's kind of interesting from, you know, all three of us in different realms of journalism, whether it's podcasting or it's interviews, different things. I always find it fascinating. That's something that I've loved about these is the interview aspect and something for me to learn about, that whole process. But it's always been something that I've been like, dang, why didn't I ask David? Like, what happens with the rest of these interviews? Is this just a
Yeah.
private collection?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's sort of it's not it's they're as you guys know, I'll make a documentary and then I'll kind of bank stuff for the next
Mm-hmm.
documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And so, some people
Oh,
will be
okay.
like, "Oh, it's In Search of Darkness 2. They reused, a bunch of interviews." Well, those weren't reused interviews. Those were just the parts of the interviews talking about entirely different movies and topics that
Got
we
it.
didn't have
Okay.
time to include in Search of Darkness Part 1. So,
Okay.
and then In Search of Darkness Part 2, I got to, especially because that was during the pandemic,
Uh-huh.
that allowed me to use a lion's share of material for Part 2, take in during COVID. So we did all the precautions and the social distancing. I
Mm-hmm.
still
Mhm.
did like 23 more new interviews. And I was so happy to get those folks because a lot of them are older. A lot of them, a lot of people said, "David, I'd love to talk to you, but can we only do it through Zoom?" And we only do 4K in-person things. I was shooting,
Mhm.
I shot a lot of interviews in my backyard because it was outside and it was a controlled environment.
Distanced. Yeah.
That is
Wow.
a famous backyard. My bathroom has been used by Adrienne Barbeau, John Dykstra, Walter Koenig, Alex Winter,
Wow.
you name it.
And,
Very famous
Wow.
people have
and with
used.
lots of Clorox wipes,
Yeah,
takes me back.
exactly. I can't believe what Alex Winter did to my bathroom. You wouldn't believe it. No, Alex is the nicest guy, and he would never.
It's
But
funny.
so I have all this additional material. And so even by the time we got to In Search of Darkness 3, I still had some material for select people that I got to use.
Mm.
There was
Mhm.
some stuff where like I talked to Clancy Brown and when you're talking to Clancy Brown, you talk about Highlander, you talk about this and that and
Yeah,
the other
sure.
Mm.
stuff. Well, let's listen. I kind of bank that because if I get to do In Search of Legends, that's the place to do Highlander.
Mm.
We talked about Pet Cemetery 2, great movie, but when
Oh.
I was doing In Search of Darkness 3, which was 80s, so I got to use that for In Search of Darkness 90s, the first half.
Mm. Okay.
Mhm.
There's still plenty of stuff that you guys haven't heard, but there will be whether it's a special features disc that we do on an anniversary release,
Mm.
or something like that. We'll do maybe just long form interviews where
Mhm.
short of just things that they're should be cut out, it's just kind of unplugged and it'll
Love
get
that.
Yeah.
right on there.
That's
so
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 cool.
so much
Like
of this
an
material,
uncut edition, right? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so
Cool.
so much of this material has not seen the light of day, but it's not being, it wasn't thrown out, it's not in the dumpster in
Mhm.
the back of the studio, quote unquote.
Hmm.
It'll be seen eventually. In fact, for Aliens Expanded, we did a ultimate edition and ran a bunch of the interviews that or Ian did very long form interviews. And those made it in sort of unplugged style in that particular edition.
And even by asking that, I didn't mean it as far as anything being tossed out or reused. I, in my mind, just imagine, your basement being lined up with all of these awesome 3 hour interviews of stuff that I'm just like, man, because even, you having something that maybe you reuse or not reused, but you had used for part two that wasn't in one. Each of these clips are maybe 5 minutes, maybe
Mm.
10 minutes or so. So it's like out of 3 hours, it's like, man, this rascal has a whole cool collection of stuff downstairs.
Well, listen, I could
I
say
want to
probably
tap in, David.
Like a secret, a
I could say
secret vault.
probably the
Yeah.
biggest crime that I've committed is I got to sit with Robert Englund at his house for 3 hours. And Robert tells a
Jeez.
story like this. So I woke up and I looked and I wiped off the dandruff on my shirt, and he doesn't say that, but he kind of delivers like every little moment and detail to build a story and create an environment. I'm walking down the street. I see some beautiful girls over there. They're all watering the grass while the glint of the sweat is starting on my pores. And then I saw the studio, but I had to stop and smoke a cigarette. It's just like I finally get to the meat of the story, and all I can think of is just like, this is the most amazing anecdote by the greatest storyteller,
Hmm.
and
Man.
I have to just butcher this thing to make it condensed and fit
Yeah.
and in context. That's part of the reason why I did, if you remember, in the first trilogy, and I just didn't have room in the two 90s, but I did the star on star, Nancy Allen on Nancy Allen, Robert Englund on Robert Englund.
Mhm.
I would do Linnea Quigley on Linnea Quigley, them talking about themselves, D Wallace
Mhm.
on D Wallace. And the thing is,
Yep.
we would hit all these tangents on these other things that wouldn't necessarily qualify to go in. Robert Englund would be like, what I really wanted to do after I did, 976 Evil is I'd be much more suited doing a Tender Mercies style film, and he talks all about that. I'm just like, well, that doesn't fit for the 976 Evil thing that I'm trying to do here, but let's get to know this person and get a real sense of them and all the
Yeah,
tangents
for
that they
sure.
hit. You get a much better sort of career retrospective conversation going on. And so I've been
Mhm.
able to do some fun stuff that you've actually been able to see with these extended interviews, but there's more to
Amazing.
come at a certain point when I do
Awesome.
clone myself.
Awesome. Well, yes, yes. Well, like I said, don't give up. So with 95 to 99 coming out, are there any teasers that you can share? Any special guests that the fans can
Mm.
look forward to?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think when is this? I'm saying this as we're rolling, but like is this coming out?
I would love to get it out before Halloween.
Okay, well, there you go. So, from whenever this airs and people are watching this, from October 7th through Halloween night, if you go to 90shorrordoc.com, I'll do the pitch and then I'll answer the question, is that
Okay.
this is the final pre-order for In Search of Darkness 95 to 99.
Mhm.
And we call it a final pre-order because the movie is done. I mean, we're still polishing and music and things like that, but
Mhm.
the movie is all the interviews are done. The rough cut is put together, but we have not done the end credits because we want to put you guys in the end
In the end
credits.
credits.
Yeah.
Aha.
Excellent.
And we also want to
Yes.
put you
Yes.
guys, it will fit as many as possible. But if you guys want to record something, look out on our socials at 80s Horror Doc on Instagram and Twitter X and Facebook. Is these opportunities to talk about why you love horror, why you love 90s horror, briefly in 30 seconds, and get a bunch of these clips and run them during the end credits. Plus, you get all these cool swag and all this fun stuff like that. So by the
Oh,
time you're
cool.
watching this, you will have access to 90shorrordoc.com, which has our insane trailer that we've done. It's like a 5-minute trailer with a bunch of
Mhm.
the pieces of the interviews that we're doing. We're doing little segments where you can see more of the stuff. But I could tell you now because it'll be all out there. I mean, like, I talked to the likes of, I'm going to be all over the map here, Jamie Kennedy from Scream,
Oh, yeah.
talking all about Scream. I got two people from Urban Legend who are so fun to be. I got to be
Oh
with. I
man.
sat down with Michael Rosenbaum, of Smallville, but he's one of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
people who gets lined up for the slaughter. No, and Brenda Bates herself, Rebecca Gayheart. How cool is that?
Oh
Oh,
man.
wow.
Sick.
Talked to
Cool.
Eduardo Sanchez, the co-director of Blair Witch
Okay.
Project, a
Yeah,
little movie
Dang.
that people might have heard of from that era.
I think so.
Um, I got to sit down with Peter Hyams again. It was so cool. Peter Hyams, who directed The Relic and End of Days,
Hmm.
during that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
some of the really big releases and big blockbusters. But I got to talk to him for In Search of Tomorrow as well, where he did 2010. He did Outland. He's such a great director.
Oh yeah.
He's so good. And I mean, I'm going to become a listicle. I talked to some cool composers. I talked to Graham Revel, who's done everything. He did From Dusk Till Dawn. He did
Mm-hmm.
Bats. He did Bride of Chucky. He did The
Dude.
Crow. You name it. Look him up. He started with Dead Calm. That was his breakout soundtrack. I also talked to Marco Beltrami, who is the composer of all the Scream movies, but he was sort of the Dimension guy. So he did Mimic and he did Halloween H2O and
Oh wow.
Cool.
he worked on the faculty as well with
Oh
Robert
yeah.
Rodriguez,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, Andrew Divoff, the Wishmaster himself. I got to sit with him.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. Talking about Wishmaster. Also talked to Robert
Mm-hmm.
Kurtzman, who directed
Cool.
Sheesh.
Wishmaster. He also
Yeah. Oh
wrote
my
the
gosh.
story for From Dusk Till Dawn as well as worked on
Uh-huh.
it. I mean, I'll go
That's
to
fantastic.
90shorror.com and you'll see all the cool people that we worked with. But Andrew Divoff, such a nice guy, so cool. He's also a very accomplished artist, and
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
he loved Wishmaster so much that he created a Wishmaster ring that he created it. He sculpted it. He makes molds of it, and he has these amazing. And so anyway, he shows the rings, and
Like
after we
the
did
yeah,
our
yeah, yeah.
interview. After our interview, he's like, I want to give you a Wishmaster ring. I'm like, oh, that's really generous. You don't have to do it. He's like, no, no. It's gonna
Oh.
take a month. I gotta mold it and have it done. And then
Customized?
I'll send
Whoa.
it to you. And
Do
then
you have it? Oh, there it is.
Oh my God. That is so
You know,
sick.
I actually just met him at a horror con. I think he had those
oh
rings on.
hey, yeah.
Oh,
But look at the work.
Oh
that's
wow, the
fantastic.
detail. Dude,
Look at
that
the
is
work.
amazing.
Is it heavy? Is
Yeah,
it?
oh yeah.
That's it. Looks it.
He
Wow.
did this himself.
Gee.
He did this himself. Anyway, put it on a finger
Yeah,
like this. There you go.
he's so easy to talk with.
Oh,
He
wow.
mentioned that he met Richard Ramirez. Did that come up in your interviews with him? Okay.
Well, all right. I'll give you a
I don't know
little.
if it made it into. Yeah, go
I'll
ahead.
give you a little spoiler. I mean that his so if you've seen Wishmaster, there's the Jinn, but there's also the
Mhm.
the sort of human alter ego, and that human
Yeah.
alter ego's that look that he gives, when he looks there, that is based on Richard Ramirez when he was face to face with Ramirez,
Okay.
Ramirez.
Ramirez. Yeah.
What?
He it's very well. This is one of those long stories that I could not fit because he talked about it for 10 minutes, and
Mhm.
he tells the story better than I. But to paraphrase very quickly, uh, before Richard Ramirez, I can't say his name now.
I don't know if I'm saying
Is
it
it
right. Ramirez.
Ramirez or Ramirez? But
Right.
when that guy,
That guy. That guy. Yes.
that serial killer,
Mhm.
uh, he was working. Andrew Diva was working at like near some. I'm going to get the story wrong, so I should probably not tell it. But fundamentally, he was sitting in a car on a break from work
Yes, I
in the
remember this. Yeah.
in the desert,
Mhm.
and there had been killings in that area already,
Oh,
and
Mhm.
you know on the window, and there was
Yes.
Richard Ramirez and this other guy, basically like, "Hey man, can you help me out?" But it was just like he knew something was up because he didn't know who this guy was. He
Mhm.
only found out later who he was.
Yeah.
But anyway, so long story short, because I'm not doing this story any justice because it's a
No, but
long
that
story.
sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, and
that's
so
horrifying.
he was face to face. He's like, and Andy, as Andy likes to be called personally, Andy's just like, I've never felt such dread in my life. I knew that this guy was pure evil from the moment that I was
Mhm.
face to face with him. And anyway,
Oh,
Yeah, that's what he
it's
said. His eyes, right? He said there was something
oh
in
yeah,
his
oh yeah.
eyes. When he first started telling me the story, I thought he was talking about someone in the industry. Like, yeah, I met Richard
Well, he
Ramirez.
was
I'm
talking
like,
about his interview
oh,
with me, actually. I think it was.
oh my gosh. Well, this is
crazy.
Yes,
Wow.
David, this has been an absolute blast. We could go on and on, but like I said, we do have some viewer questions. I
Yeah,
do want to be respectful of your time, but let's jump right into
let's
these. I
do
do
it.
want to say that we got a more of a response than we expected, so this is great news. But let's jump into
Let's
them right
pack
now
in I'll keep my
as
answers
much
short
as
and
we
sweet
can.
so we can get as many as we can, if
Excellent.
that's
So
possible.
well, yes, we'll see. The first one is from Vince from Dread Alert Media. He said, "What does your research process look like since it goes so deep into horror?"
I have the greatest homework in the world. I like to say that because it's a true statement. I literally,
Yeah.
when I start doing research and I read books, I look at the
Mhm.
internet. We reach out to the fans with surveys and everything from a poll to fill in what you would like to see, and I collate all this information, and then I start thinking, well, who's alive? Who can I talk to? Who's accessible?
Mhm.
What's just a really well-known thing? What's an eclectic thing? What's an underrated movie? What is, if I don't include it, everyone's going to say, how could you not include this movie? I stay up at night because it's actually a torture process for me. Like I said, I'm a completist and I know I can't fit it all in. So it sort of becomes a combination of figuring out what people would want to see, what people would expect to see, what I
Mhm.
would want to do myself, who is available, who can I get to talk about this stuff? Because I mean, I just made this In Search of Darkness 95 and 99, and I already had to cut out about 12 movie segments that we did and were completed, but
Whoa.
we
Oh
ran
no.
way over. And so it's
Mm,
killing your babies. I'm not going to name the names of what didn't make it. You'll just have
Hmm.
to discover when you see it. But
mm.
it's actually
That's
a
sad.
very
Mhm.
intense process, and I really enjoy it because fundamentally I'm like, I'm going to revisit this movie that I saw once, or I'm going to finally see this movie that I always walked by. I know the box, I always avoided it, but I always wanted to see it in the back of my mind. One day, maybe today's the day to watch Jacko. Maybe today's the day I watch
Mhm.
Jack Frost. You know,
Yes.
I've never claimed to be the be all end all who's seen every single horror movie in history, you know, but I know many of these things and I've seen many of these things. And so sometimes it's a revisit where I'm like, holy crap, this is so much better than I remember when I kind of dismissed it
Mhm.
because I was a snob or cynical in my 20s versus I finally get around to this. Let's see if what's the hype's about. And holy crap, everyone's right. Or I'm kind of underwhelmed, but I see the virtues of it. So I'm still going to dive into it, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm. Mhm. And there's nothing better than going back to a film that you dismissed 20, 30 years ago and loving it now. It's like
And it.
discovering it again for the first time.
Howard the Duck, we're talking about you.
Not to
Is
name
it that
names.
bad? How about Garbage Pail Kids? Is that worth going back
Yeah,
to?
well, that's one of my friends.
There you go.
My friend is a horror nerd in the best way possible.
Yeah.
He introduced his daughter to that, and that's her. She's like 3 and
Oh, I love that.
watches it all the time.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Anyway, let's keep going. Eric, over to you. You
All
can
right.
ask the next viewer question we got.
Good friend Dimas Riyo out of Indonesia asked, "That's awesome that the director also recognized horror movies from Indonesia with Mystics in Bali, which is also a personal favorite of mine. I love that movie as well, Dimas. Curious to know whether titles from other parts of the world helps shape the horror landscape overall."
Absolutely, and I knew that going with the first In Search of Darkness, but my hands were tied based on the things that I explained earlier in the podcast.
Hmm.
So I actually I breathed a deep, fresh breath when I got to do more In Search of Darknesses. I'm like, now I'm just gonna do international movies as much as I can. And each movie I kind of try and focus on a little bit more of from a certain thing. So In Search of Darkness 3, so In Search of Darkness 2, I hit a bunch of other countries, but
Hmm.
I would say the standout was Italy, Italian horror. In Search of
Hmm.
Darkness 3, I would say the standout was Mexican horror.
Hmm.
Um, and I included Asian horror as well. So both,
Yep.
you know, but pan Asian, not just like one particular thing.
Hmm.
Search of Darkness 1990 to 1994, I kind of leaned into more German horror
Hmm.
going on. And this time around, J horror and all the Asian horror that's a broader spectrum, that's J horror kind of opened the door Tartan Asia Extreme DVDs. We all
Oh man.
we
Oh yeah.
those rocked our world at the end of the 90s. You know, that
Yeah.
gets the ultimate lip service because that opened the door to movies from, you know, Indonesia, from the Philippines, from, you know, South Korea, from Taiwan, from Hong Kong. So even though
Mm.
J horror really kind of grabbed the spotlight to open up the door for more and for Hollywood remakes at the end of the 90s, I've got a whole chapter talking about that stuff, and it was very fun for me to do.
Can't wait.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's see, Eric, I'm going to skip Caesar and I'll let you ask that one next. I'm going to go right to the
Yeah.
TheSauraSaurus. And he asked, was there a guest you really had your sights on getting that slipped through the cracks?
Yes,
Perfect. But
many.
shall remain.
Many,
Yeah, that's what I
many. Here's the
suspected.
thing. When sorry, I'm being a little flippant, but you know,
No, of course.
part of the outreach process is that you know, when you watch these things in the comfort of your home, you're like, why didn't they get this person? Why didn't they get that person? And I will tell you in a blanket statement that is a absolute put me to a lie detector test. We've reached out to everyone. We've talked to people who
Tried.
I've
Yeah.
talked to people, and I won't say his name. I had a conversation on the phone when I had the actor who was the star of a movie who said, "Thanks so much for asking, David, but I just want, you know, I don't, I think I'm going to pass on this one."
Hmm.
So like there are,
Mm,
everyone's got their
Fair.
reasons. Everyone's got
Hmm.
their reasons, but so many people, there's the flack. That's what they call the agents, the managers, the publicists, who
mhm.
often say another thing I've gotten is my client only looks forward, he doesn't look backwards. So the thing is, there are people who are talked out. There are people who are unavailable. There are scheduling conflicts. There are people who just you can never reach. There are people who just say thanks but no thanks. There are people that you can't get past their flack, where if they knew it, like Robert Englund, when he did In Search of Darkness, he said to me personally, "I'm so sorry I didn't do the first one. I really would have done it had I known, but
Mm.
my representative deflects so many projects. But now I know about it. I saw the first one. I loved it. This is what he said. It was very Hollywood. In Search of Darkness is hot, and I like being in hot movies. So I'm happy to be doing this for you." And I was just like,
And
"Yeah, man, let's do lunch afterwards.
yeah, yeah. That's a fantastic compliment.
Let's go to
Uh,
Spago after our interview."
Let's go to Chipotle. Um,
Mhm.
all right,
And I almost
we've
did a
got
spit.
we've got a few more. I'll turn it back
uh,
over to you, Eric.
all right.
I'd
Caesar
love to go to Chipotle
WSV.
with Robert Englund, but
Yeah.
that's a whole other story.
Jeez.
Do you want
Uh,
a burrito or a bowl? Go ahead.
or an alcoholic drink.
Yeah.
Yes.
Caesar asks, I'd like to ask if there are any surprising or controversial stories from the talking heads that didn't make it to the final cut and why. I guess along with this, you know, maybe not necessarily anything with like names or, you know, anything that's going to be, you know, putting out there because we don't want to do anything like that, shining negativity. But was there anything where
Mhm.
you're like, oh, well, okay, I can't put that out there?
Well, one thing that comes to mind actually right away is again, I don't want to name names, but there was
Hmm.
one um yeah, I don't want to name names, even though I said I could use that material. I just don't think it's right.
Sure.
Okay.
But there was
Fair.
over the course of my interviews, there was one particular person who had created a horror icon and had a licensing deal to use that character for like an action figure kind of thing, and
Mm,
ultimately got screwed in the deal. And when
Mm.
they had agreed and had talked about it and even had a contract written up, and then they weren't involved, and they found out that this thing exists, and they're like, they were supposed to work with me on this, and the deal wasn't what I'm getting. I'm not getting anything out of this deal.
Mm.
Basically, they got screwed 100%,
Yeah.
100%.
Shysters.
And then when
mm,
they called them on it and said, "What's the deal? We had a contract and all this arrangements," and they're like, "Well," they basically said to this actor, "F you," directly to his face, and he was livid,
oh
absolutely.
my
Jeez.
gosh.
And that is a story that, while compelling, uh, it just
Mm,
there was no place that it fit where it didn't
mhm.
look like sour grapes. you
Yeah,
know.
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
And if I was talking, if I did something that was maybe if I did something that was all about licensing and
Uh-huh.
merchandising, it would potentially fit there. But even then, it didn't. It just it felt sour.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
listen, I there's not everything is perfection in the discussion of how things are going and
Sure.
the triumphs and the tragedies of making all these movies. And Hollywood's swimming with
Mhm.
sharks.
Yeah.
Um, but I like to celebrate the magic of filmmaking and the struggles and the challenges that people overcome, or how they dodge them and they find other avenues to, not enlightenment necessarily, but just
Mhm.
success or justification for how things turned out for themselves.
Sure.
Those
Okay.
are absolutely compelling tales, and I think when people come across as pissed off and 100% justifiably so, it doesn't quite fit.
And maybe even a service also for you, yeah, and them when they look back and they're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have put that on there. But
Plus,
if
there were
there's
there were there were
Mhm.
names like the guy who screwed over the guy. That
oh,
was all part of the story. And he's just like, you could tell everybody that this guy's a fucker.
uh,
So,
And this is his name.
so yes,
so
exactly.
in a few years when the
If
new
if you've been
series,
watching closely, I've been blinking the name in Morse code,
yeah,
so figured out the
I
answer.
saw it. I knew it.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. I
that
had it
guy.
registered. Yep.
All
I
right,
knew
next
it.
question. Let's get a couple. Let's
Okay.
get
Okay.
a couple
Just
couple more in. Couple more in.
a few more. A few more. Okay. Michelle Fett asks, "What do you think is the most underrated horror film of the 95 to 99 film?"
Mm,
Everyone, some people's underrated film is another person's like, that's my favorite, and I tell everyone about it. But
Sure.
underrated for me personally
yours. Yep.
is one that I always passed at the video store, and I just said, nah, just looks stupid. And that's Cemetery Man. Until I saw this movie that my
Oh
friends said
man.
I should see, which is called Delamore Della Morte.
Della Morte.
And I
Uh-huh.
said, sure, an Italian
Yes.
horror, I'll go check that out. Absolutely. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, wait a minute, Rupert Everett? Wait a minute.
Sounds
This is this
familiar.
is this Cemetery Man? And I'm like, this is an absolute gem that everyone needs to see, and this is absolutely underrated because not enough people talk about it. And so I highly
Oh
recommend
yeah.
that film. It's so good, and
Mhm.
uh, it's a crappy title if you call it Cemetery Man.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, come on,
Totally.
come on.
Agreed.
Just if you look at the VH box or the DVD and stuff like that, it's just Rupert Everett like in a graveyard with a
Yeah. It's
spade,
not
a
very good.
shovel. And I
Yep.
was just like,
Mhm.
what
No
can this be
justice.
about that I would be interested in? As a
Hmm.
guy in a graveyard and he looks depressed. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass on this. And you know that goes not to the filmmakers at all, but that goes to the way they market it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Marketing.
Mhm.
Yep.
Mhm.
Covers.
Mhm.
But you never know how to market it to. They thought that was the most generic way to get someone's attention because they thought, well, no one's going to know what Della Morte is. It's in another language, so no
Mhm.
one will be intrigued by that in this world where no one wants to see foreign films and subtitles. Whereas in the 70s, I'll bet everyone would say, oh, I will see Della Morte. Is that Francois Truffaut? I don't know. Let's check it out.
Let's watch. Yes, we have two more. I think we could probably get through these quickly. Eric, do you want to take one of the two remaining?
Sure. Carlos Omar Deleon asks, what is your personal guilty pleasure from, let's just say, the 90s? So you get this collection, you have the 90 through 94, the 95 through 99. What's a guilty pleasure of yours?
Well, guilty pleasure means that I should feel some guilt, surrounding it. I'm just qualifying that because so many things come to mind.
Okay.
Um, I just need I need my prompt because I'm just like, gosh, I know them all, you know. And so when you know them all, your mind goes, it glitches because too many things come to mind.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't even call it a guilty pleasure. I just want to draw attention to I don't know, guilty pleasure. Sorry, I'm now really I want to always give very true answers. Well, Cube, but it's not really a guilty pleasure. It's just
Mm,
a great movie that I
it's
think
a
more
good
people
film.
need to know about. You know,
Hmm.
Cube is a movie that I remember looking at it and like, is this like Hellraiser, but they're in the box? Wasn't quite sure what it was about, you know?
Yeah.
And then I watched it and I was just like, duh, you know, this is really, really, really solid, really tight, really well done, really unpredictable.
Uh-huh.
Great movie. Great, great, great movie.
Mhm.
And I will brag that I made sure that I reached out to Vincenzo Natali, who directed Cube, and I got to talk to
Oh
him. And
man.
he's in Search of Darkness 95 to 99.
Wow.
Oh,
But I first
awesome.
discovered
Awesome.
him, well, I guess with Cube, but I got to know his name when Guillermo del Toro executive produced a film that he did called Splice in
Mhm.
the 2000s.
Oh my God. That's the
The,
same
the
director?
sci-fi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the same director. And Splice is a perfect movie as
Wow.
far as I'm
Oh
concerned. It's
my
so
God.
I love
great.
that film. Yeah.
I'm now out of the decade, but talk about guilty pleasure. You got to go out of your way to see
Wow. That movie
Splice.
is
Oh,
amazing.
it's
So
so
good.
good.
And the
And
cover
and
is
the
fantastic.
And
the
the
less
cover, dude.
the
Yeah.
less you know, the
Wow.
better. If you don't know anything
Hmm.
about Splice, just see it and don't watch the
Hmm.
trailer. Don't read the back, and
Man,
you will be
crazy.
wonderfully offended by the end. It's so great.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have
Um,
maybe we can do this again and talk just about guilty pleasures. I have
right?
one, yeah, yeah. I have one last question here from Thomas Fox. Let me sort of paraphrase this. He wants to know if you have any special memories, or a memory that came to you while working on this, perhaps when you were growing up and consumed some of these films for the first time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is like the joy of making these documentaries is once I've gotten to the point where I've put my list together and I start doing the outreach, I'm so hopeful that I'll get like Cube, you know, I'll just be like,
Mm.
I love that movie. I champion that movie. And now I get to like pick the brain and hang
Amazing.
out with the
Mhm.
guy who made this, who's it turns out he's like my age, off by a year, and a super intelligent guy, super articulate, and super just nice guy. He wore a Zardoz shirt to the interview. It was awesome. Talk about guilty
Whoa.
pleasures. But
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
and so so many of these, I mean, this is kind of a broad answer, but you know, I get to think about that one weird scene that where there's one little Easter egg and I know about it and I could ask them and they could just say, oh yeah, that was totally intentional. Or they could be like, oh no, that was serendipitous. I didn't even know it was in the cut until I put the movie out and someone pointed it out to me. You know, I
Uh-huh.
love these stories because as a movie fan, all of us are movie fans, you see these things over and over and over, and you get to,
Mhm.
like, listen, I could recite The Legend of Billie Jean word for word, fair is fair. There are certain movies that are just they're on cable and they play all the time,
Mhm.
or whatever it is. That's not a horror movie,
Yes.
but
Oh,
Oh,
but
but
it's
I'm
so
right
but it
there.
good,
does
I'm
man.
right
have
there with
Yeah,
you.
it's so
Yeah.
good.
has
Yeah.
Helen
Yeah.
Slater, and all you do is you just say, "Are Helen Slater and Christian Slater related?" I don't know. I didn't have the internet at the time.
Isn't there a Pat Benatar song in that?
We will be
Every
invincible.
time I hear it, I think of that film. So yes,
Yeah.
So
takes me
good.
back.
Come
Takes me
on. The
back.
only reason we all saw Supergirl is because she was hot. Um,
We
but I
digress.
digress. But it's fun for me to just you go to your youth and the things you thought about, and then now me for my job, I get to talk to these folks. And when I
Yeah.
find that they're good human beings and that they're very approachable and they're very nice, I had a
What's
blast
better?
talking with like Rebecca Gayheart, I mean, just
Mm.
sitting with her. She was so nice, so cool. She's got kids, I've got a kid. We were like, she like, this is, this is what I have them do for my birthday. I say, I pick a movie and they have to watch it with me and enjoy it and enjoy the experience. And that is their gift to
I love
me.
that.
As they stop, they put their device away, they'll sit with me and they'll watch a movie of my choice. And we get to hang out, watch it, eat popcorn, and then discuss it afterwards. And I just said, that's
Wow.
my next birthday gift that I'm going to ask for my
Totally.
kid. It's like parent to parent. We were like
Yeah.
sharing notes
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know
Oh, that's
so
amazing.
that doesn't answer the nostalgia when you saw a movie thing, but it's like that was the Noxema girl.
Mm.
So
I
There we go.
remember. I remember. So, okay, David, I want to be respectful of your time. Do you want to try the this or that questions? I think we can go
Let's
rapid
do it.
fire
Let's do
with
it. See,
these.
I
Um,
have no self-control. Let's keep on going, and then
I mean,
I'll put a cap
we could
on it.
go for hours. This is been, like I said, an absolute blast. So we ask you two things. You just pick one or the other. In most cases, there's no right or wrong answer, and it's usually kind of fun. And what we did was put together a year movies from the 1980s by year, two movies. You just pick one or the other. And the first one is 1980, Friday the 13th, or The Shining.
And I will say, tell you what I told you earlier. This is a cruel and unusual punishment for someone who loves all these movies for different reasons.
Yes.
I would say The Shining only because I go back to that more often.
Yes.
Mm. Yeah, I'd say that
There's
too.
there's
Agree.
kind of always something new with that film. So
Yeah.
and I've seen it ad nauseum. I couldn't even tell you how many times I've seen it. And yeah.
Mhm.
So
Excellent.
good.
Eric, over to you.
Oh, that I. Oh, you want me to ask the next one? I was
Yeah,
gonna
the
say
next
The
one. Yeah,
Shining
yeah.
is absolutely okay. 1981. We're talking a heavy hitter here with Evil Dead versus Halloween 2.
Evil Dead because
Mm,
that set the stage. That established the Raimi verse
Mm.
yeah.
of Evil Deads to come and just announced Raimi on the scene.
Mhm.
And truth be told, when Evil Dead came out, I was scared to watch it because it just looked scary to me. And I saw Evil Dead 2 first, and I loved that. And that became instantly my. I'm like, this isn't scary. Well, it's scary,
Yes.
but this is
Mm.
entertaining
Yes.
to
So
Yes.
good.
the nth
Yeah,
degree. And I went
yeah.
straight to Evil Dead. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, that's my answer.
Mm.
But I love Halloween 2 for a variety of
I do
different reasons.
too. I do
Yeah.
too. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
1982,
Beautiful.
Poltergeist or The Thing?
All right, I got to go.
Thanks for
I
chatting with us.
I plead the fifth because those
Yeah,
are
that's tough.
those are two of my all-time favorite films
Mhm.
for entirely different reasons. You know, lo-fi horror guy has the thing right behind him.
I do.
I'm gonna
He's
s-
playing
Biased.
favorites right there.
Yeah.
I'm
he
executive
gives.
producer of The Thing Expanded, a documentary we're making on it right now,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
I'm very
Oh
very
man.
proud of. But I will not abandon Poltergeist as one of the greatest. I will share a very quick thing talking about like
go for it.
when you're young.
Mhm.
I remember when Poltergeist came out. And I remember back in the days when you'd find out all about this stuff, if it wasn't a trailer on the TV or at a movie, you opened up the newspaper and you'd say, "Oh, what are all the new movies?" And there was this massive double spread that showed, I
Mhm.
want to say, because it's been a while, I can't remember, but I think like just suburbia, of where Poltergeist takes place. And then it just says, from even though it's Toby Hooper, from Steven Spielberg, the scariest movie you will ever see. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but that's what it said. That's all it said. And I was
Mhm.
young. That came out
Whoa.
in what, 82? So I was
Mhm.
14 and I believed it. I'm like, maybe I don't want to see this movie. Is this a challenge? This might be the scariest
Yes,
movie ever
this might
made.
be it.
Do I
Yeah.
want to see the scariest movie ever made? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I
Yeah.
want to see
Oh,
it.
of
Yeah.
course, of course.
Yeah.
That clown is still what nightmares are made of. Um,
Ah,
okay, over to you, Eric. 83.
all right. 83. We got Videodrome and Christine. Very different worlds.
Oh yeah. You guys, well, these listen, I commend you for your choices. I will go with Christine because that remains one of my all-time favorite Carpenter films. I still think
Good.
I'm obsessed with Christine. I am.
Agree.
Mhm.
I love it.
Yes.
I have miniature, I don't know if they're Matchbox or Hot Wheels or miniature guys. I've got lightning wheels, whatever they're called. Johnny
Hmm.
Lightning. I have but I also have I have them in various sizes of Christines,
Of the Fury. Oh
Oh
man,
yeah,
that's
the Plymouth
awesome.
Oh,
Fury.
cool.
Wow.
And I'm always obsessed when someone manages to put a Plymouth Fury in a Stephen King movie just as a nod. So whether it's Cat's Eye
Mhm.
or even the most recent
Yes.
Salem Slot, if you look in Salem Slot, came
Yes.
out, it's
Yeah,
in there. Take a
it's
Yep.
look, it's
there.
in there.
Yes,
Yep.
yes,
Love it.
yes. Okay, okay. Good choice. Moving right along. 1984, Gremlins or A Nightmare on Elm Street?
Do I like apples or oranges better?
It was tough. The 80s was such an amazing time for
Yeah.
horror, as you
I would,
know,
I,
as we all know.
I would say at the time, Gremlins,
Mm.
present day Nightmare on Elm Street.
Hmm.
Because I've
Interesting.
I
gotten to
like that.
know, I've gotten to know John Joe Dante, I've gotten to know Heather Langenkamp and Robert Englund. So I've gotten to know the people who made these things, and it's even harder to choose between my
Mhm.
children now. But it's like they're just so different. I will choose Gremlins because I was obsessed with Phoebe Cates.
Mhm.
Um, and I have also interviewed Zach Galligan too, who's a really, really great
Oh,
guy.
cool.
Oh man.
But
Yeah.
I will choose Gremlins for simply for one moment, one scene.
Mhm.
When Phoebe Cates talks about her father getting caught in
Oh
the
yeah.
chimney, and they only found him
Yes.
one after the smell got
In
really
the
bad.
spring or something.
Yeah, and
Yes.
that's
Yes.
just like I still watch that movie and forget that scene's coming up, and then it takes that little
It,
dark turn, and I'm just like, how did that get
it
through
sure
a
does.
kiddie movie? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And she should get Bartender of the Year.
Hmm.
Let's see. 1985. Is it me? I forget. Me or you, Eric?
Is it me
I
you're
think it's you.
looking
It's over to you.
for? Is it no?
Eric,
I
it's
I,
I
Eric's
think
I
it's
wrote
over
it
to you.
turn.
down.
Eric's turn. Yeah.
Day of the Dead or Return of the Living Dead. Tough.
That one's easier for me.
Okay.
I love both for a variety of different reasons. Day of the
Right. I
Dead took
agree.
longer. Day of the Dead took longer to resonate for me in terms of appreciation based on expectation after Dawn of the Dead.
Mm.
Return of the Living Dead,
Mm.
and I did not see Day of the Dead in the theater. I saw that on video. Return of the Living Dead I saw in the theater, and I expected it to be scarier versus funnier. And once again, kind of like Evil Dead 2,
Mm.
it's not as scary as it is entertaining
Hmm.
and totally
Yes.
punk rock, and set the standard
Absolutely.
for zombies for me ever since, really.
Mm.
Hmm. I love
Awesome.
that.
Yeah. Great
Yes.
choice.
Yes. Agreed. 1986, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 or The Fly.
I would go with The Fly. That's another one, similar story where I was afraid of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies because the
Mhm.
first one scared the living crap out of me. I felt like it was a documentary. I was so
Hmm.
I that I ultimately have seen these things so many times and ultimately have deconstructed it where it's not scary at all to me. But the first time I saw Texas Chainsaw, I was like, this is officially the scariest movie I've ever seen. And so I did not go near Chainsaw 2 for the longest time, actually, until I did the first In Search of Darkness, when I was, going to sit across from Stretch herself, Caroline Williams, who it turned out to be an amazing, wonderful interview. Um,
Yeesh. Yeah.
but I did not see that in the theater, and I saw it only, much later. So the other choice, The Fly, I think I saw in the movie theater like two
Wow.
times, three times, and then I watched it on video multiple times, and I could, like Billie Jean, I could quote that through and through. It's such a great movie, and I think
So
for a
good.
while there, that was my favorite Cronenberg movie.
Mm.
Mm.
We need
Agree.
more love and horror.
See, I
Yeah.
can't just give a simple answer. I must
No, but
quantify these
you're
But the
doing good.
context.
We're
Yeah. The
making progress.
context.
Only
I
Yeah.
three
can't just
more.
say this is better because that's uncool.
This is
Yes, of
fun.
course.
This is fun.
All right, man. Over to
Now,
you.
this is two preferences when we get into 1987 of directors. So when we talk about John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness versus Peter Jackson's Bad Taste, what do you think? I love both of these movies. This was probably
Yeah,
one of the
me
harder
too.
ones for me, especially this director. Peter
Mhm.
Jackson has broken my heart ever since he's left the horror realm. I hope he comes back someday.
Maybe he'll do like a drag me. Maybe
Maybe.
he'll do like a drag me to hell kind of return at one
Oh
point.
Mm.
God, that would be amazing.
A Raimi
Wow.
reference there, but
Yeah.
Yes.
I would have to say that I was so fun revisiting. I did that. I did put that in Search of Darkness 3, and then
Hmm.
talking to Tim Baum for Dead Alive, aka Brain Dead, was
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How cool is it when you get to interview someone where I'm interviewing them today and they're answering me in real time from tomorrow? you know,
Yeah.
and I
Yes.
did it through the ones and zeros when they were in New Zealand. So, but bad taste, I think, for its creativity and for its production
Yeah.
story. It took so long to make that.
Yeah.
Prince of Darkness, I love John Carpenter through and through. That one to me, I always felt was more piecemeal in terms of the stuff that I love versus
Mhm.
taking it as a whole in terms of the story. But I love
Okay.
the creative
Mhm.
casting and the story that it tells. But I think collectively, in terms of the pantheon of Carpenter films, it's not as high on my list. So that's why I'll choose, Bad
Bad
Taste.
taste. Beautiful. Okay.
Perfect. Two more, obviously 1988, Night of the Demons or Waxwork.
Ooh, I think Waxwork. They're both kind of underdogs, aren't they? But
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I don't know. In my world, everyone loves Night of the Demons. So and I'm going to clarify what in my world means. But yeah, I would say Waxwork because I think that still remains a bit of a underdog. And I remember seeing that,
Mhm.
expecting it to be kind of low rent, and I was like, these are amazing effects, and this is you get to have all these
Yeah.
different movies, and it's like a time travel movie, but it's not, and it's very much big on the
Mhm.
fantasy. I really, really enjoy that because it did not pull the punches on the gore as well. And when
Yeah.
I say my
Mhm.
world, this just happened yesterday, this conversation, and this is my family who I've been doing this,
Oh,
sitting with my
Okay.
wife, and my kid. We're in Solvang, California, which is this kind of this Danish town where you can get like Viking stuff and Ebelskivers and it's a
Okay.
tourist, it's a wonderful tourist trap with windmills, but it's really fun and we were in the area, so let's go. And I discovered a
of
bar.
course.
I'm going to name check a bar called Final Girl, and it's wine plus horror, and
Oh,
it's called Final
wow.
Girl. And I'm like, you guys hang on, you can come with me if you want, but I must go in and check this place out. And I walked in and it's very, very cool, and they have wine tastings and horror themed stuff, and it's very dark in there, blah blah blah. Anyway, afterwards I walked out, and I asked over a meal, I said, do you guys know what Final Girl is? They're like, no. We've never heard that term. They're like,
Hmm.
no. And then I just realized, like, I think some of us are in our horror bubble, you know. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking like in my collective. I even had like a chapter. I think Final Girl is the is part of the title in the first one. But
Mm.
people say Final Girl all the time. In the most recent one, Akilah Cooper, oh, talking about Demon Knight, and Jada Pinkett is the Final Girl, wow,
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's something that we take completely for granted. So I had to explain this to my wife and son, and they're like, oh, no, I never heard that before. I'm just like, I'm just deluded in my own little horror bubble here.
Yeah. And sometimes you have those conversations and they're like, oh, oh okay. You're like,
Well,
oh,
yeah, I mean, I didn't expect them to be like, oh, how cool,
yeah.
I'm
Oh my
so
God.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
done, you know. No, I
I
mean,
can live. I
that was
can
never going to
finally live
happen.
now.
I mean, I name drop all the time over dinner, and my wife will be like, she'll go to the tabloid thing, you
Yeah.
know. It's like, oh, I got to talk
That's too
to
funny.
I got to talk to Ridley Scott about Alien. There, she's like, oh, isn't
Yeah.
that the guy whose brother jumped off the bridge?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
totally
Well,
what I
yeah.
got.
Right,
That's totally
right.
what I got.
Right.
that
So
sounds
that's
like a nice
Richard
lady. Like,
Ramirez, what did he direct?
there's
yeah.
there's so all I could say is like, now you understand why I spend so much time talking to you guys,
Yeah.
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 Oh
right?
yeah.
Fun.
Right.
Right? Because in
Because
my
we know
world,
what final girls are. Yeah.
Yeah.
in my microcosm, I'm dad the taxi driver taking my kid from place to place.
Yeah.
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 I'm right there with you. Oh my gosh. One last year, Eric, I think it's your turn.
We have
1989.
1989, and we have Halloween 5 or The Shocker. I think it's just Shocker, actually, not The Shocker.
You guys,
Oh,
I
shocker. Yeah.
definitely commend you for these choices because
This is Aaron. Did a great job.
they're at a level of
Your approval.
I would say Shocker, absolutely, because Wes Craven is continuing to try
Yeah.
and create. But the thing is, when that movie came out, I chose not to see it because I was kind of a cynical teen when I saw that. was I in my early 20s. I was 89. But either way, I kind of felt like I was a film school snob, and I'm like, oh, he's just trying to create another Freddy Krueger, another franchise. I'm not going to buy into it. I see right through it. Then you see it later, and you're like, how cool is that? That's really fun. Why weren't there more Shocker movies? But I think at the end of the day, I think that is a notable film for Wes Craven continuing to try and create new things rather than ride on the coattails of a franchise like, Halloween 5 and Michael Myers. No totally. Disrespect to that one, but I would say Halloween 6, which I cover in Search of Darkness 95 and 99.
Okay,
that takes bigger creative swings. It might be a swing in the mist for some people, but at least they really go all out with the Cult of Thorn and trying to create something new rather than just rehash the exact same thing over and over and
Formula.
over. So at least they're creatively trying something new, failure or success or failure,
Yes. Excellent.
All right. Let's wrap it up because
let's wrap it up right now. I was
go.
just about to. David, thank you so much for chatting with us. We kept you way longer than I intended, but this has been so much fun. If you're watching and you haven't seen In Search of Darkness, make sure to check out all of his documentaries and stay tuned for 95 to 99 coming out very soon. Yes, Eric from the Lo-Fi Horror Guy, thank you for joining us. And one last time, David, thank you so much. This has been unbelievably fun. We appreciate you taking the time to talk with us.
It's really fun. I enjoy chatting with you guys. Clearly, I explained why during the course of this. All I ask in my parting words is go to 90shorrordoc.com before Halloween. Don't sleep on it, because then you're going to wish you were like Eric the Lo-Fi Horror Guy, who could hold up the physical copies.
Yes.
And if you missed the first In Search of Darkness 90 to 94, you can buy a 2-pack. If you missed the 80s trilogy, you can get the trilogy set as well. If you have no more room on your shelves, you can get digital bundles. Unlike Aaron, but you still have room. I think something's got to give.
I think maybe up there. Yeah.
But go to 90shorrordoc.com between now and Halloween. I am trying to reach people who don't know about In Search of Darkness. So if you think it's cool, or if you know all about it and you know someone, spread the word on social media, tell your friends. It'll keep this thing alive because you guys give us permission to do it each and every time. But we got to carve a new audience out there to believe it or not, there are plenty of people who did not know. In fact, the guy at Final Girl in Solvang had not heard of it. And so I said, hey, I didn't even say who I was. I'm like, you should check this out.
Check it out.
I did one-on-one marketing, and then I ran out the door.
And here's a business card I found.
Here's an apple skiver. I got to go.
Right. Excellent.
You guys have to look up what that is. Apple skivers are delicious. They're like these little.
Isn't it a dessert?
Round donut-y kind of.
Yeah.
Things. Yeah. They're delicious. They're delicious.
I know.
We'll look it up. Go. Well, David, thank you so much. Yes,
thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Take care.
We're going to the movies! Come on!
Miss me. The 90s, it was edgier, it was grungier, it was a little more self-aware.
It's so much better than what we thought we were making.
A time for total escape.
Broke into the wrong goddamn rec room!
The industry is changing, both on the big screen and on the small screen, in profound and sweeping ways.
It's a big ride.
It's scary, it's funny, it's twisted, and it's sexy.
Hot and squishy.
We were out of control and out of our minds.
All the legends are true. Every night we were blowing shit up. Just having so much fun.
Groovy.
We did it really fast.
It was very, very rushed. It's certainly the only movie that I know of with death by corn cob.
What's the next appalling, disgusting, highly inventive way you can find to kill somebody?
All the A-list stars, they want to be able to see what it feels like to rip off somebody's head.
Oh my God!
What the?
Digital visual effects.
It opened up a whole new world.
When it doesn't work, oh boy.
It's just a bunch of hocus pocus!
Thank God for Gateway Horror.
Tim Curry, man, that was a casting coup.
I am the worst dream come true.
Candyman, Candyman, Candyman.
Be my victim.
Hell no. I'm not gonna look in the mirror and say Candyman 5 times. I'm not stupid. It was an intense thing to do.
It gives me the heebie-jeebies.
You don't like it, huh?
I said, we need the subspecies. That's the poster. Got to make the poster. We sent the footage back to the States, and Charlie was like, what the hell?
He wasn't nothing but a big old pussy anyway.
I called Jason a pussy, paid the price for it.
No one on planet Earth knew that Freddy's glove was going to come up at the end of that movie. They jumped to their feet.
I probably should have snagged one of those things when we were making that movie.
Want a date?
Want a date?
Want a date?
I kick ass for the Lord.
This one's for the fans.
The 90s was very self-reflexive.
So it pushes a lot of buttons.
Oh, we can't have eating babies on screen.
I could go to jail for doing a movie.
People were like, how dare you remake a classic?
We were making a very weird movie. I tried to say my line through these giant teeth, and
To go to a video store in the 90s, obscure horror movies that I've never heard of. It was a glorious time to be a fan of films.
I like the crappy ones. Is it any good? No. Is it fun? Absolutely.
is that kind of a movie. It's a horror film.
A moment of film history that shall never be forgotten.
As long as it's entertaining, I will watch the shit out of it.
Oh, that stuff is really, really rich.
Come back anytime. Bring your friends.
What are you waiting for?
It is time to get seriously scared.
Welcome
to my world.
The 90s.
Welcome to Oblivion.
The world was shifting in various ways.
And then carnage.
Woo.
The whole machine changes.
It's kind of a carnival atmosphere.
It was a very, very exciting time.
The horror landscape has been changed.
The pendulum swung far.
The horror was always human.
I think everybody was looking for a way to do something original.
There's some really brilliant moments in the 90s.
Scream really changed the entire game.
Oh, just some scary movie.
It's a pop culture phenomenon.
Suddenly, everybody was knocking on Kevin Williamson's door.
And the hook is people are being killed with urban legends.
We're so savvy as horror movie watchers.
It was meta on meta with meta.
More blood, more gore.
Look at me, I'm Leatherface.
Kevin, who was kind of the antithesis of Scream.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Absolutely brilliant moment of horror.
There were many new types of villains in the 90s.
Open wide.
This movie is so goth. We were documenting the effect of anarchy.
This is not reality.
People had nothing to pay attention to except things like Monica Lewinsky.
Blow me.
We're dealing with a lot of social and political themes.
Technology was advancing, culture was getting kind of uneasy.
This AOL thing, you can really do some damage with that.
Not even Arnold was immune to Y2K.
You're a fucking choir boy compared to me. This is DVD.
My Blockbuster had 200 copies of it.
I loved all the extras you used to get.
That's back when cinema was still pumping.
Hollywood in a big way.
I love the design of that mummy.
We are in serious trouble.
Johnny Depp is Tim Burton's alter ego.
You look better without a head.
This was a period where the soundtrack album became massive.
Rodriguez is a real genius.
Tarantino killed it.
I see dead people.
I still get the chills.
They scare me too sometimes.
It was an intense experience.
It was just the worst experience I've ever had.
Pretty damn cool.
Humans are the monsters in movies.
I love Demon Knight.
Come on out, everybody. Time to play.
Seriously? I don't know if that's even legal.
Let the games begin.
What if we took Stephen King and screamed it up a bit?
Absolutely insane.
Val Kilmer thought he was the reincarnation of Marlon Brando.
We give you this hellaciousness.
Now, I'm sure I'd be the first person to die in the cube. I wouldn't last a minute.
Be careful what you wish for.
The shit just hit the fan.
Michael Myers came back with a vengeance in the 90s.
And it isn't because of the art, it's because of the commerce.
How can we one-up ourselves?
For God's sake, Chucky, drag yourself into the 90s.
More edgy, darker. You can't fault us for not being unique.
Grinning and arching my eyebrows and being Jack.
Outer space. They kept messing with the ending.
Why are the Japanese making such dark films?
The best haunted tape movie ever to come out ever.
It took you to an absolute edge.
Kitty, kitty, kitty.
I'm scared to close my eyes.
We had no idea that the movie was going to blow up.
I bought this thing hook, line, and sinker.
Such a 90s moment.
Word. We are still talking about it. Maybe it was lightning in a bottle.
You can find gold in the 90s.
What do you want me to do? Grow legs and rent an apartment?
Report to the principal's office.
No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel.
Hey, it's David Weiner, writer and director of In Search of Darkness, 1995 to 1999. Kind of gives me goosebumps to be in the same spot where I've interviewed some absolute horror legends. This is kind of a hallowed space. I think what's really cool about the In Search of Darkness movies is they're a time capsule. They're a time capsule of an era. I get to sit down with these folks who made these movies in the 90s and get the real stories of what it was like on the set, the triumphs, the challenges that they had. It's a struggle to make a movie. It's a miracle if a movie gets made. Horror movies that we love so much, there's a real story about how it got from inception over the line to distribution. Doesn't always get there, but there's always a great story to tell. And that's what's so cool about In Search of Darkness documentaries is these folks sit down just for us and we get these amazing stories that they're happy to tell that they don't often get to relive. And sometimes they come up with memories that they've never even thought about in decades. One of the greatest moments I can get in an interview is when someone says, you know, no one's ever asked me that, or gosh, I've never actually told this story before. The fact that we show love to these movies so many years later, and we show respect to these movies, I get amazing interviews because they're just touched by the fact that people care and are interested. What I'm talking about is a documentary where it all comes together and we can all celebrate what's really cool about 90s horror.
I see dead people.
The backers, the fans, you guys who are interested, you guys who show your support, you get to cultivate these films for a whole new generation. You get to be part of horror history. You get to be someone who helps preserve these stories and these films for yourselves and for future generations to discover and to enjoy. And that's a big deal. That's no small feat. It's incredibly satisfying to be able to curate all these horror movies that I love, that I discover, and that I know you guys love, and you arguably know more than I do.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I have the greatest job in the world. I get to curate stories that you may never have heard before, stories that have never been told before. and I get to put it in a long-ass documentary that people love and say more, longer, put it in my veins. That is the ultimate compliment to me, and that drives me to make the most in-depth documentary that I can make. Can't wait to share it with everybody.
Carnage, candy. Your core audience just expects it.